So after a really fun SmackDown over in Europe, I want to say in London, we kind of have the Fatal 4-Way set for Saturday night's main event for a #1 contendership for the WWE title, which is now in the hands of Drew McIntyre. With the four that we have Trick Williams, we have Randy Orton, we have Sami Zayn, and who was the fourth? Oh, Damian Priest was the fourth. So kind of with that whole thing going on, I did think that since the Royal Rumble was going to be in Saudi Arabia, we'd see more of a formal push for Sami Zayn. I kind of made that prediction kind of way back in 2025 when they kind of came with the announcement that we were getting more shows in Riyadh in general, and that they would be big fours with that WrestleMania 43 announcement and this Royal Rumble announcement. I still think, obviously, since at the Royal Rumble, whoever wins this Fatal 4-Way will be fighting for the title over there. I do think it's going to be Sami Zayn, as commentary has mentioned, and as people have probably known. The Saturday night's main event is going to be in Quebec, Montreal, so that's Sami Zayn's hometown. I do think also for Drew as a heel to kind of have someone to rally against that can have a possible chance at winning the title right now, having Sami kind of face him off in Saudi would give Drew such big heel heat to go against essentially that hometown hero who will be really lauded over there in Saudi, as well as almost an ambassador for them at this point now when it seems to come to those events. So I think we're going to have like a super huge, almost Clash at the Castle type of match, kind of, which is funny because that did involve Drew and Roman in a situation where we thought that, on this person's home turf, he had all of it kind of going for him against this big bad. We kind of have that similar situation if they really want to kind of do that, kind of going down the line with Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre. Also a cool thing that they mentioned on this SmackDown as well was that they kind of have a history going back and forth, which they did kind of touch on a little bit in Drew's kind of feud with CM Punk 2 years ago in 2024, where Drew has beaten Sami 11 or 12 times at this point. And Drew goes on to make that point, that even if you were to make it through everything, it's just going to be, death, taxes, and Drew beats Sami. And I think that story in itself is another one that's kind of built in for this match, since we don't really have so much build for it going into this Rumble. I think Sami and Drew kind of have all the heat right now, out of all the possible kind of the decisions or ways they can go for this Fatal 4-Way. Randy Orton, obviously he's a huge star. I don't think they're gonna have him kind of face Drew right away in a moment like that. I do think they kind of want Drew to have a strong defense against somebody that would make more sense just in general. I know they have history. Drew has lost the title to Orton. In terms of any just kind of just real heel heat that are real feud heat that they have for each other, there really isn't any. We can also kind of look at Damian Priest and Drew to have a title defense, which I still don't think, even though they've had a elongated feud, I think running it back in such quick fashion at the Rumble just wouldn't work. I think Sami and Drew are the two types that you can kind of have at any point in time or at any point in the career to kind of face each other, and it will kind of pick up back from where they left off. And I do think that the kind of hometown situation that you have here for Sami Zayn in both the Fatal 4-Way and then going into Saudi Arabia being the heavy favorite, I think it would kind of make all the sense in the world for him to be that opponent. I don't think obviously he's going to win. It would be shocking to see the title change hands so quick, so fast with so many people. I think the WWE title specifically. But I think it would be a really, really fun Saudi match to just kind of rally for Sami. You know what I mean? I think him making this kind of push for the title when there wasn't a clear route for Mania for him does kind of make sense. And, for it to be Drew who's kind of the foil to his plot is, I think, extremely interesting. I think Trick kind of being in the Fatal 4-Way is another interesting thing that maybe can kind of lead both Trick and Sami down somewhere where they end up doing something. And it's kind of interesting that, moving into the Royal Rumble kind of season, we finally have Cody kind of declaring his bout for the Rumble, being the first person to formally declare themselves for the Rumble, as I have asked previously about kind of the build that's happening for the Rumble and what's going on with that. Literally until this past SmackDown and past Raw, where both Cody and CM Punk have mentioned mentioned it in passing, we are finally getting, or I guess building towards that Rumble and that road to WrestleMania. Punk talking about, him being essentially that path or that roadblock for many to WrestleMania, maybe defending, at the Rumble and then at Chamber, so he himself is acknowledging that, and we have Cody kind of declaring himself for the Rumble as well. I do hope that in these next couple of weeks that we don't have a lot of time to build up to it, but we get more of a fervor for it and for that position, because it doesn't seem like the rest of the roster is even mentioning it or talking about it at all. So hopefully, besides Cody obviously formally declaring himself in the Rumble, we get some other big surprises in there, because I'm hoping that it's a stacked Rumble compared to the last couple of years. It's been extremely stacked, probably as stacked as it's ever been, so hopefully we get something nice, and it being probably not a 3-time Cody win, I would hope, maybe possibly a Roman Reigns return and win. We'll kind of see what goes on, and this is the first time in a long time I feel like where the Royal Rumble winner could really be anybody, whereas like last year we did have the Jey Uso win, which was super surprising, and I still think really great, despite Jey's trajectory. I just think they should have, the thing with Jay's trajectory is that if they actually stayed consistent and let him be a prevalent single superstar and then just take it all away after apprehension, then it wouldn't feel as bad as it does now when Gunther taps out to him and all these things. But beyond that point, we're at that point in time now where we could make another start out of somebody, possibly with this year's Rumble. I know they wanted to take the chance on Jey, and I just hope they don't. I hope they do something similar like that again, but for someone who's honestly has the talent and skill to push it forward. With all the respect in the world, because I love Jey and he's extremely entertaining and he's extremely good at what he does, right? But I just think for the type of person that would win a Rumble, I hope they do give it to someone who can take it really forward, unlike Jey Uso. We'll kind of see what happens with it. I think in general, just having kind of Sami, in the Fatal 4-Way, all lined up with Trick, Sami, Damian Priest, and Randy is super cool. But we'll see kind of what happens. We do have the championship Raw match between Finn and Punk, and then I think we also have Becky and Maxine going to duke it out as well. So we'll see kind of what happens Monday as well today, and if any changes happen down the line. So do you guys think that Sami is going to take it all, or do you guys think that it's going to be another Drew W, or even someone like a Trick Williams or Randy or Damian wins the match here, and maybe they go on to face Drew? I don't really see anyone else except Sami kind of being that one. So let me know what you guys think.